G'day everybody, my name is Elliot Waters and you're listening to the Dysregulated podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. Well, it's a beautiful, balmy winter's night here in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. It's a beautiful 15 degrees. There's no wind to speak of. I'm telling you, this is perfect drinking weather. But, of course, I have given up the drink. So it's been about 5 weeks, I think, since I last had a drink. Whenever the Cambridge Hotel closed, if you want to hear about that, The Lost Days is the episode to listen to, really good stuff. But I haven't had a drink since then. Now, I think it's about 5 weeks, but the fact that I don't actually know how many days or weeks it's been is a really good sign, because in the past I've tried to quit alcohol, and I've aimed for 100 days, or I've aimed for this, aimed for that. This time is different. I'm not just saying that. It is different because we're not worrying about those sort of, those sort of check marks or parts along the way that, we're aiming for those little goals, because the goal is very simple. We just don't drink. That's it. We know what can happen, so we just steer clear of it, and we're going to have hopefully a better life because of it. That's the plan. But tonight is the first real test. So over the 5 weeks, there's been a few opportunities where I could have had a couple of drinks here and there, and, things may have spiraled out of control, maybe not as well, but, you never quite know. But tonight is the first real test. So next door to me here at home is the streets, our Princeton Avenue, our streets Christmas in July party. So I can hear everyone, singing, cheering, having a good time next door right now as I'm hiding here. Not hiding, but preparing myself for the social onslaught that is surely to come when I do go next door. Because there's going to be people there I know, there's going to be people there I don't know, and, there's this feeling, whether right or wrong, doesn't matter, because this is the feeling that I'm feeling right now. I have this feeling that, we need to put on this certain persona that people expect, and that takes energy, and maybe it's not quite in line with how we're really thinking, a bit incongruent, and negative emotion may spring from there. So it's going to be interesting, like these situations for me with social anxiety disorder is, alcohol is like liquid courage and can make these situations a lot easier. But we're not doing it because I am staying strong, and we are not drinking because we will have a better life if we don't. That's the goal. Very simple. But tonight is going to be a bit of a test, because I think when I go over there, people are like, oh, Elliot, hey, have a beer, mate. Have a beer with us. Come on. And I'm going to have to just say strong and say, look, I'm off the drink, guys. I'm off the drink. I ain't having it. Stop pestering me, because it's not in my best interests for me to have that drink right now, and the 30 others that I'd probably have as well. But this is the first real test, definitely, of my sobriety. And not just because of the social sort of impact, and so I guess I frame that as difficulties or negatives of the social component, because I actually, would, on the other hand, really enjoy going over there, having a few drinks and having a good time. Because, there's a karaoke machine going. I love me singing. And, in the past at these parties, years gone by, have a couple of drinks, get up there, have a sing. It's all good fun. But we're not doing that anymore. We've got bigger ambitions, bigger goals, which is to build this life and make it worth living. And not drinking alcohol is a huge component of that. So I've taken a few steps to try and ensure that tonight, goes the way as I planned. And one of those was going for a drive in my car just before. So I was driving around, windows down, singing some songs, just getting in the mood, and sort of reminding myself that we can feel and have a really good time without the alcohol. We're doing it right now. We're just driving around with music on. How good is this? We don't need the devil's liqueur to, improve our headspace in these moments, because this is pretty cool, and, let's just roll with it, so to speak. So, and a part of it too was because, driving around and listening to music, that sort of grounds me and anchors me to the moment. And I was having a good think, because I'm in a reflective mood once again, surprise, surprise. But I was having a good think about, the reasons why we're not drinking, things that have happened in the past, just as a little reminder, not dwelling too much, not going in a rumination territory, but just a reminder of, things that have gone wrong and that we want to avoid that. And then really focusing on that and picturing as well. I was using a lot of imagery in my imaginations. I was picturing myself going over there and saying to people, no, not having a drink. It's all good. It's all good. So, that's a way that I have tried to cope in this situation, or to make sure we don't have a situation, is by going for a drive, which always works for me. It's not just in, not wanting to drink sort of phases. It's all the time. Going for a drive, it anchors me to the moment really good. Another thing that I'm doing to really try and just, another element, another layer, that solidifies our approach towards this, the non-drinking because of the life worth living, that huge goal, is the other thing I'm doing is doing this episode. So once again, I've said this before, but when I do these sorts of episodes and I make these sort of announcements, I'm not drinking this, I'm not doing this, I'm going to do this. You guys, whether you mean to or not, and thank you for this, you guys hold me accountable. So I've made this episode knowing that, by me putting it out there, so to speak, that's just going to add another, like I said, another layer, another element, which galvanizes our approach to this, the non-drinking part. So thank you to the listener. I love yous all. Thank you for keeping me accountable and on my toes. And I promise I ain't going to have a drink. I promise, guys, it's not going to happen. And, tonight, I was thinking about it before, like tonight is what, my psychologist would call, and I would agree, a high-risk situation. But I was sort of thinking, like, do we really feel like we might succumb? What are we thinking? And, I'm about 90% sure that we're not going to lose our footing here. And that's really good. In the past, again, I've sort of had the battle because I'm trying to get to 100 days or whatever, I was like, I'd really like a drink, but man, I've made this commitment to myself. And I've made this commitment to myself again, but this time I just don't want to. Like, the want isn't there, We can have a good time without it and not run the risk of things going wrong. And, my headspace today probably isn't amazing. It's not terrible, but it's not amazing either. And alcohol tends to amplify the positive and negative sort of ways of thinking. And I just think to myself, I'm being objective here and a mature adult, thinking of myself and how I'm presenting today, I can see that the alcohol might exasperate some of those sort of negative feelings. So we want to stay away from that. But yeah, what's important and what's really good is that, like I said at the start, we're not aiming for 100 days or anything. We're just not doing it because we don't want to. And that's like the most organic, I suppose, sort of way of approaching this, is that we just don't want to. Yeah, lots of things can happen, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to feel drunk. I want to be in control. Still want to have a good time, don't get me wrong, but we don't need the alcohol to do it. We can stay in control and everything can go to plan. And that's what we're doing. And that's why I made this episode, because there is no chance, I promise, that I'll be drinking anything tonight. And if I do, I'm going to tell you. But tomorrow I'm going to have nothing but good news to report. Very exciting. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. I do appreciate it. I'm going to go and get into the party, a bit of karaoke. Don't know what I'll sing. I love Oasis. So like Wonderwall, it's a bit cliche, but it is a classic for a reason. I love my Aussie rock, a bit of AC/DC, a bit of Cold Chisel. So I don't know. The tonsils, well, not the tonsils because I don't have tonsils anymore, but the vocal cords are warmed up, ready to go. So we better get stuck into it. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm about to head over. Wish me luck. I just got to do the round, say hello to everyone. Nah, not drinking. Nah, not drinking. Nah, not drinking. It's all right. We've practiced this. We've visualized this as well. We can do it. All right. Thank you. And I'll see you next time here on the Dysregulated podcast.